Um, about 5 or 6 years ago, I had fatigue that was so bad that I was so sick. I was just tingling all over my body. I had asthma so bad I couldn't sleep more than 4 hours. I had to sleep on my stomach with the pillow shoved up under my chest so that I wouldn't suffocate. I couldn't lay on my back. I could barely even do anything. I was so sick that and so weak, and the fatigue was so bad that I actually bought an ukulele just to try to get myself to play music because the guitar was too heavy, and I thought a lighter instrument would would make me play more. And it really didn't, because I was just too messed up. But some of the things that I've learned about rebuilding the body and getting energy back, besides detox, is adaptogenic herbs. And these are herbs that have been used for thousands of years in India and China and other areas. And my favorite is called Codonopsis. It's also called poor man's ginseng. I try not to buy things from China too much because China has very low standards in toxicity. They have a lot of lead and toxins in their environment. So you can't even really trust the organic things. But there isn't really anywhere else that I know of you can get Codonopsis except in Asia. So maybe there's another country outside of China where you could get it, but I don't use it much because I don't want to eat a bunch of stuff from China. But I will eat it sometimes. And what I do is I chop it up. It's just this like root. Codonopsis, poor man's ginseng. You chop it up into little pieces. Usually I put some astragalus in there too because astragalus is really good for your skin. It's a really gentle adaptogen. And you simmer it on the stove. And then you let it sit for a good 8-10 hours. And then strain it. And then just take a little sip every day. And this will give you boost energy. Now, I've used ginseng in the past, but this ginseng will make me a little jittery. The Codonopsis astragalus mixture doesn't do that. And another thing about adaptogens, they help you adapt to your environment. So if you have fatigue, they'll help you with the fatigue. If you have a lot of anxiety, they might help calm that, depending on which one you use. But those seem to be the gentlest and the nicest energy boosters for me is Codonopsis and astragalus. Another one that I really like that will give a big boost to energy if you get it good is kind of disgusting. It's basically moldy caterpillars from the Himalayas. Moldy caterpillars. It's called cordyceps. And that will help rebuild your body too. It's kind of gross to think about, but it works. It's really good. Another one is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha gives me a little bit of jitters, so I don't use that one as much. I prefer the ones that don't make me jittery because I have enough anxiety anyways. So, just be careful with that one. And the other one I want to mention is Eleuthero, which is like the American type of ginseng. Siberian ginseng, I think it's called. And then there's another one that is a tea. Because all these other ones are roots. But there's one here that's a tea that I wrote down that I learned about 5 years ago or so, 5 or 6 years ago, when I was having a really bad winter. I was so sick, I was just tingling all over my body. I couldn't even sleep without shoving a pillow under my chest and laying on my stomach because I'd suffocate. I couldn't lay on my back. I was breathing like hell. I could barely think. I could barely walk around. I could see these energy waves outside, like the heat above a fire, like frequency waves. I don't know if I was just getting hit really hard with whatever it is, or if it was just the bioweapon that it was in my body just torture me. But somebody told me online about holy basil, which is also called tulsi, and it's an Ayurvedic herb. It's just a leafy herb, and it is a really good adaptogen, and it really helps with energy and depression and asthma and probably a bunch of other stuff too. It's really well renowned in India. They really love this stuff there. There's whole books about it, just the one herb. So that's a really good adaptogen too. And I used to switch them around. I don't use these things as much anymore because I'm not as sick as I was, and because I don't have a proper kitchen, it's hard to prepare things. But there's a couple other things I want to mention. One is nascent iodine. That can give you a little boost to energy. Plus, we're all iodine deficient probably because of all the horrible things going on in the world. And fulvic ionic minerals, which is like shilajit. I don't want to promote any brands, but the one I use is Optimally Organic. It's really good. Just a couple drops that'll give you boost energy. Or it did for me. And that's kind of how I got through moving after the foreclosure. Packing everything. I moved and packed everything myself. I barely had any help at all, unfortunately. I moved a bunch of rocks. I dug ditches. I built a shed by myself. You know, I did all this work that I couldn't even imagine doing 5 years before. And it's adaptogens that helped me do that. And the other thing that helped me do that, a really big help, and this stuff is really expensive, but if you have leaky gut or problems with dairy, but you still want to eat dairy, there's this stuff called colostrum. It's basically firstborn baby milk from cows, and it will heal your gut lining and make you feel better. I couldn't eat dairy without getting mass mucus. I still can't. But colostrum heals the gut lining. And it doesn't matter how much I drink in a day. I won't get any excessive phlegm or mucus from it. I won't get any problems at all, like other dairy causes. It is really expensive, though. It's like, it's about $300 for, I think, 2 kilograms or something. Whatever that is. So it's really expensive. But if you have leaky gut or anything wrong with your digestive system, colostrum is amazing for that. So I wanted to throw that in. And there's one other thing I want to talk about, and it is the alternative to Valium. Because I've heard it so many times. I've seen at least 2 targeted individuals talk about this, and I've also known other people. Animals. Okay, dude. Other people that I've known in my life that have had mental health problems talk about how they were given Valium by the psychiatrist, and they were doing all right on it, helped them, and then they take it away, and they start putting them on harder antipsychotic drugs that don't work or are just terrible. So, the alternative to Valium is valerian root. If you've used valerian root in the past in some tincture form and it didn't work, it was a crappy brand. You got the wrong one. That's what happened. The valerian tincture that I use, when I do use it, it has a green label. It says Nature's Way, I think, or Nature's something, and it's a glycerine tincture, and it's thick like maple syrup. You want to make sure that you get the right brand, because if you get some crappy brand, it's just garbage. It doesn't work at all. It's just like buying dirtweed from the Mexicans and not getting stoned. There's different levels of herbal potencies, and there's different products that some are crappy and some are really good and potent. So valerian is one of those things, and I grow it in the backyard because I think it's a really important thing to have if there's catastrophe or war and people are panicking or somebody gets hurt and you don't have pain medicine. So it's amazing for anxiety and panic attacks. You could make it into a tea on the stove. Because it's a root, you have to simmer it and make a decoction. So you simmer it for a good 10 or 20 minutes, then you let it sit for 8 to 10 hours, and then strain it and use it like that. But I recommend getting a good brand glycerin tincture. And if you get a glycerin tincture, you can also give it to your pets if they're suffering. Sometimes the vet will send a pet back without any pain medicine after a surgery, like they did to my cat once. And a cat will love valerian tincture just like catnip. They will be drawn to it. One of my cats will not eat any human food or anything out of my hand ever. But I put a little drop of it on a plate one time, and I set it on my lap, and he just went for it. I've never seen him do that with anything that wasn't cat food. Because he's from the pound, he doesn't even know what real food is, so he's kind of weird. But dogs will eat it too. If they're in pain, when my dog was dying, I gave her a lot of valerian because the pain pills weren't enough for her. And that's the only way that she could get to sleep. So if somebody's in a massive amount of pain, and they just need to go to sleep because there's nothing else that will stop the pain, valerian will do that in large doses. And it's safe too. The other thing that valerian's good for, besides insomnia, because it'll put you to sleep, but also it can be used as a mild poison antidote for the same things that you would use atropine for. It's not going to work as good as atropine. You should have atropine on hand if you think that, you're getting poisoned by organophosphates or nerve gases of any kind, like serum nerve gas or anything. Obviously, you'll die if you get a big serum nerve gas. But they use things on me like this. I know they did, because otherwise, why would atropine work? I don't know what they did. It could have just been organophosphates, which are used on potatoes and all kinds of vegetables that are not organic. But it's valerian is an antispasmodic, so it's given to people who have, if somebody gets poisoned by organophosphates or serum nerve gases, they will be given Valium first and then atropine, from what I've read from like medical stuff. So it's also helpful for that. Any kind of spasmodic or twitching, convulsing, because I used to get a lot of twitching. I don't so much anymore. It doesn't make the vibrating go away. Nothing makes that go away. I don't have that anymore, though. Maybe detoxing the Smart Does might make that go away, and getting away from electromagnetic stuff and the nervous system toxins, which I've done. The vibrating can be eliminated somehow, because I did it. It took a really long time, but I did it. I still get it because they turn their machines on, or whatever satellite is hooked up to me turns on and vibrates me, but it doesn't hurt me as bad as it used to. So, that's a whole matter of detoxing. I don't want to get into that. I'm just talking about valerian right now. Yeah, so it's really good for anxiety. It's a Valium substitute. The thing with Valium is that Valium is based on valerian. That's what it's based on. You go online, you read PubMed or something, they're going to say, oh, valerian and Valium are totally different. They came up with Valium by basing it on the chemical structure of valerian. All they do is take plants, they tweak it a little, and then they sell it on the market. They had to tweak the chemical structure just a little to sell it on the market. That's why Valium works so good, because the original recipe came from God through valerian root. So if you're one of those people that got cut off from using Valium and put on some horrible antipsychotic, try valerian. Try to get a good glycerine tincture. I'm telling you, it's the one with the green label. I think it says Nature's Way on it. I don't know if that's what it says, but that's the one that I found is the best. And just try a few drops, and one of the major things, though, when you're trying new herbs is that you only want to take one new herb at a time. Because if you try 2 or 3 things in one day and you have a bad reaction to one, or some kind of reaction that you don't like, you won't know which one it is. I've never personally had a problem mixing a bunch of herbs together. It's all kinds of people mix herbs together. But you want to make sure that when you try new ones, you only try one at a time, so that you know what kind of reaction you're getting. So I really hope this helps somebody, because these things have really helped me in the past.